What if the person leading the resistance was hired to lead it? What if the loudest voice in the room was put there specifically to be the loudest voice in the room? What if the whole point of the opposition was to control it? That's not a hypothetical. That's a documented strategy with a name, a history, and receipts that go back over 100 years. Now, tonight, we're going to define it precisely, trace the history, and show you how it's being used right now. And at the very end, I'm going to ask you one question nobody will see coming. Let's turn the pages. So I got the new intro. What do we think? What do we think? What do we think? Shout out my wife. Shout out my wife. She's in the bedroom. She really helped make a lot of that right there. I made the music because I was getting copywritten naturally. So yeah, she helped me make that. What do you guys think? Let me know. Now, we're gonna jump right into this thing. I don't want to start speaking about me tonight. I want to keep it short, sweet, to the point, because hopefully this is an episode that really gets looked back on and people say, wow, this guy was ahead of his time. This is one of those things, this is one of those topics that I've actually been studying since I was a young man. It gets very controversial in this episode. I'm going to state that right now. There may be some misinformation that's here. There may be some completely true information that the government doesn't want us to know. It's somewhere in between is probably the likely truth of that. But jumping right into things, we have chapter 1. We're going to define it precisely. What is controlled opposition? So I don't want to rush this. I'm going to pull it up on Wikipedia so you can see the political definition of controlled opposition versus just the phrasal definition of controlled opposition, because controlled opposition, of course, is a phrase. It's not just used politically speaking, but I want to show up the one that is, the most common one, or most commonly used one. So 2 words is what control opposition is. Of course, we're going to be a little bit redundant for a moment, but follow along. Opposition is someone or something that pushes back against power. It's a movement. It's a movement, a voice, a leader, or a journalist. Not just or a journalist, but things like that. It's supposed to represent the people against the system. Of course, we know the definition of controlled just means it's secretly managed, directed, or permitted by the power being opposed. You put them together, and it basically just means it's the resistance to power. The resistance to power is itself run by power. The goal is not to destroy the opposition. It is to own it, manage what it says, manage what's allowed to be shown and heard, and all sorts of things. Make sure it never actually threatens the system or organically grows outside of the frameworks that it allows. Give the people the feeling of resistance without any of the results. Then, of course, on here, if you haven't already read, we'll show that to you real quick, of course, too. I didn't mean to... Here, I actually had a link up for my last episode. Didn't mean to get my window out of whack here. I think that's about the best. We'll get that here. Okay, so controlled opposition is just basically, it's a party or a group that stands as a placeholder for the opposition in elections, but who are ultimately completely ineffective. This allows for all politics to be controlled by the ruling parties while allowing for the illusion of multi-party elections. Sound familiar? Now, let me say this again from my earlier point. The goal is to give people the feeling of resistance without any of the results. There's two flavors. I want you to know both. Flavor 1, we have an agent placed inside or at the head of a real movement. It didn't start it, it infiltrated it. Job is to steer it off course, discredit it, or hand over information to the people they're pretending to fight. Then you have flavor 2. The movement is created from scratch. Fake grassroots. The whole thing is a setup designed to attract a certain kind of person and keep them busy going nowhere. Which one is harder to spot? Arguably, flavor number 2. Because flavor number 1, at least the movement started real. Flavor number 2 was never real. And you'll never know unless you know what to look for. Now, I'm going to just take a beat for a moment and state, I'm not making an accusation against TPUSA or Charlie Kirk. I personally think if we're making the argument, that's flavor number 1, actually. So I don't want you to try to read the subtext of my episode and try to steer it off the course yourself and hijack it for something I'm not trying to make the claim of. My earlier episode about the funding behind Charlie Kirk was pretty controversial, I would say, in my opinion, just for the evidence that it goes over. It actually named somebody that I personally had never heard of in his funding before I started talking about it. And I'm just a teeny tiny guy, so I can only imagine that most likely the only other people talking about it are also guys that are teeny tiny guys. And that's just probably why I haven't seen it. Candace didn't name this guy. Baron Coleman didn't name this guy. Ian Carroll didn't name this guy. Nobody did. So for lack of better phrasing, I'm not making an accusation against TPUSA. They have enough negative press against them to make their own claims, I would say. This is not one of them. Now, a reminder, flavor number 2, the one that's created from scratch. The grassroots campaign is typically the harder one to spot. Now, jumping right in to chapter number 2. Chapter number 2, this is called the history. We're going to spend some time here. I'm going to get chronological. We're going to talk about Russia first and then the U.S. We're going to give a little bit of time for each case. I just want to have enough time for it to land for you guys. I'm not going to over-explain because I've been taking some insight from you guys, and I appreciate it tremendously. I'm just going to let some of the photos do the work. So, we'll say page 1 of chapter 2 here is Russia, 1881. This is called the Okhrana. I'm going to pull it up on Wikipedia so you guys can... Oh, of course, I pulled it up on my second screen. Maybe I should just keep a window open on my first screen for the rest of the video here, so that way I don't run into that again. Okay, here, I need to do option, make this just a tiny bit wider. And then, yeah, I think I'm good to go. There. Okay, so this is about the Okhrana. Now, formed to combat political terrorism, left-wing politics, and revolutionary activity, the Okhrana operated offices throughout the Russian Empire, as well as satellite agencies in a number of foreign countries. I'll let you guys continue to read this here while I provide some further deep dive. We're going to pull up some images here in a moment too. But this is the Tsar's secret police. They didn't just spy on revolutionaries, they ran them. They actually perfected what they called Zubatovchina. I've totally butchered that. I'm not Russian, obviously. But basically, they set up their own trade unions and labor movements run by government agents. Workers who wanted to organize joined the government's organization, and the government controlled exactly how far it went. Roman Malinovsky, who was a paid Okhrana informant, became one of Lenin's most trusted Bolshevik lieutenants while feeding information to the Tsar. I'll pull up him real quick so that way you guys can see, of course. Why is it not typing? There we go. Okay, so I'm going to pull up the Okhrana real fast for you guys. Or Roman Malinovsky. Goodness. There we go. Perfect. So this guy was a Russian politician. This is what he looked like. Hopefully you could see him. Yes, you guys can see him there. This was basically his portrait for the Bolsheviks, I believe. I'll have to double check if that's the actual one. But basically, he's a Bolshevik. So we already know that those guys are not exactly the good guys, right? We're going to spare that whole episode and a half of them themselves. Raise your hand if you actually learned about the Bolsheviks in your public school. I know a lot of us didn't, but don't lie. Some of us did, right? I actually personally learned a lot about them. I didn't learn everything. I definitely learned a different history than the full truth and the unadulterated truth, that's for sure. But I learned about them. I know damn well that these guys aren't good. I know damn well that 19th and 20th century Russians in general were not very good. No offense to anybody whose family is from Russia, but if you just peel back the curtain, it was pretty rare that those people were doing good things in society at that time. They were very bad people. I think we can be objective. kind of the same way as Germans of the time. My dad, I'm pretty sure, was German, a little bit. Doesn't mean I hate German people, but obviously they didn't exactly call out the atrocities that were going on, right? So if they're not calling out the bad stuff that's going on, I think it's safe to say they're not really good guys either, right? Right. Let me get on topic. Now we put a face to the name. This is just one of the gentlemen that's behind some of the big bad stuff. I'm gonna pull up some photos of the Agrana too. Hopefully, I can. Obviously, we saw their emblem a little bit earlier. Here's some of the people. Here's them acting all big, bad, and tough for the photo op. But I mean, you guys can see that, right? That's a machine gun, like a fully fledged machine gun, not like when Nancy Pelosi is talking about machine. That's a fully fledged machine gun. I don't know if police need that personally, let alone the police that are actually secretly infiltrating everything and controlling the narrative, right? I want to pull up another gentleman. Hope I spell his name right. Going off my notes. This is another agent. I'm going to try to stick it on the Wikipedia a little bit because, of course, if you don't like my link, you can go there and there's a half dozen other ones, of course, too. But this guy was he was a Russian socialist revolutionary who also operated as a double agent, an agent provocateur. Now we're going to do one of these little sidebars real quick. I'll keep his face up because that's scary. I won't even lie to you. But I want everybody to know socialism was 1000% created by Jewish people. That is not a conspiracy. That is not anti-Semitic to say it out loud. Get to Googling, right? Socialism and Marxism. Who are these people? Oh, of course, they're going to try to say that he was German. He definitely was not. They're going to put it through a bunch of crap before they say it first, too. Look at this. Non-religious Jewish and converted to Christianity before his birth. What that means is they were ethnically Jewish, kind of like I am. I'm literally ethnically Jewish, but I practice Christianity. I am this exact demographic of people. But I don't try to hide it. I don't try to sugarcoat it. I don't try to tell you that it's something different. Karl Marx was Jewish. Him trying to say that he was German is a footnote. That is a footnote. And they're trying to make it the head note, okay? They're trying to make it the header. Like I just got done saying a little bit ago, I'm pretty sure my dad had a little bit of German in him too. But I'll be honest, my conspiracy ass is not going to do a little spit in a cup routine, right? You get my point though. Always do the early life tab. Always peel back the curtain because they are lying about things. They are rewriting our history as we are discovering it. And that is what's scary. That is what's very scary for me. So anyways, ending up on him. But socialism was created by Jews. That is just a fact. What's not necessarily factual is what their intentions were behind it, why they caused it, their modalities. A lot of the conspiracy theorists think that it was created because they, for lack of better phrasing, wanted to hoard global wealth for just themselves. Now, we're only 0.2% of the population. Why are we 9% of the billionaires? I'm only going to ask that one question, and then I'm going to stay on task for the rest of the day, hopefully. But this gentleman right here was involved in a lot of stuff. So he was a double agent. That's the kicker. I didn't even focus on that main key there. I just said that he was a socialist and started freaking out about it. What was I gonna? Yes, I wanted to go to some of the double agent stuff. There was a bingo. He got it exposed. There we go. So I'll highlight that for you guys too, because the guy got caught. He got caught. And when he did get caught, he was able to flee to Germany. So, I mean, kind of good for him, I suppose. But the fact of the matter is, these guys were bad. These guys were bad. I'm going to make an entire sub-series, most likely, that's just talking about my ethnic background. It's going to talk about where I came from. It's going to talk about what my people did. And there might be something in my eye. But I'm going to do a sub-series on that. But I got to get my channel big enough before I do it because it's very cancelable. And if it gets to that point, I need to make sure that I have something that I can take with me. You know what I mean? Like a follow me on Rumble, follow me here, follow me. You guys get where I'm going with it. But I'm not gonna get canceled on something that doesn't. I gotta get myself out there before I get my cord pulled or my plug pulled. But we're definitely gonna do that sub-series. Stick with me. Stick with me. Okay, so we're still on this page. Let me actually stop the share screen for a moment until I can find my next link. You guys can see the pretty do here. More on that Yevno Asev though. Before he got caught, he was he was organizing real assassinations, and he he tipped off police to foil other ones. He did this for decades before he got caught. Because as I'm sure you guys saw, he was actually born in the 1860s. He didn't get caught until the early 1900s. So he was doing this for, I don't know if it says it here, but oh, okay. So it was actually only active for about 14 years. So it wasn't literally decades, but more technically decades. But anyways, the guy was a Jew. He was related to other Jewish people of the time that were very, very socialist. We know where I'm probably going next with this. Page 2 of chapter 2 is going to be where it gets very, very controversial. And I want you guys to buckle up. I'm going to pull up 2 links here. One is the link proper. Well, actually, it's not the link proper because this link is banned. This media is banned. This is a banned book or document. This is a banned document. I have it. I'm not going to put it on YouTube because of what I just said. I have it. I'll post the link to it because I'm a good guy. It's actually snuck in another book. And that's what I'm going to bring up. So I've talked to you guys about Bill Cooper. Behold a Pale Horse, right? He wrote a book and he got murdered by the police. To keep it short and sweet, that's just that. Yeah, I want to keep the story fun. He wrote a book and got killed by the police for it. And he's the best conspiracy theorist of all time, in my opinion, because he was talking about stuff 40 years before anybody else was talking about it. For example, no shade to Baron Coleman and the Dre dossier. I've been watching their stuff lately because they met up again. And Dre is adorable. I love her like millennial Gen Z kind of take on things because she's just more glass half full, I think, than all of us are. Which is funny because I'm Gen Z, but I think I am not quite like my peers, I'm afraid. But I like their take on it. But anyways, they're talking about how like the ballroom under the White House could be a secret government, and they've already had that. And Bill Cooper's he was talking about that 40 years ago, literally. So anyways, he died a long time ago. They killed him for tax evasion is why they said he was getting confronted. So anyways, guys, don't pay your fucking taxes. No sugarcoating that one. But let's stay on task. I'm sorry. I was trying to get my links up here, so I was trying to jabberjaw while I was doing it. But this is called the Protocols of the Elders of Zion. Now, short and sweet classroom. Who's heard of this document? Who's heard of it? 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 Who's heard of this document? Have you guys heard of this document? I'm going to change my screen a little bit so I can get more FaceTime in there. Is that going to work? Yeah. I think that'll work. Have you guys heard of this document? I just want to ask. Most of you haven't. They've done a really good job hiding this. The first time I read this, I was 12. Seriously. The first time I read this document, I was 12 years old. And I will so openly and so eloquently share this detail with you guys. I had no idea what I was reading. I could not understand it. I still don't understand it very well. But I do know one thing. All of this hubbub up top is fluff. It's fluff. I want you guys to read this document for yourself. I'm going to read the mainstream narrative of it because it doesn't matter if this document is real or if it's false. If it's false, it fits into everything that this episode is about on my podcast. And if it's true, then that's fine. My podcast episode is wrong, but all the other shit I've said on various other topics on my podcast is true. So I found myself in a perfect conundrum where no matter what, glass half full, Gen Z, hey, no matter what, I'm right at least once here. And I'll take that, right? So no matter whether or not this document is true or false, actually does not matter in this case. I personally think it's true. But what is this? Okay. So supposedly, and again, I have the document. Bill Cooper has it in his book, Behold the Pale Horse. Don't buy the book on Amazon because the book on Amazon has the omitted text. They completely remove the text. You have to get it on the PDF version. And the PDF version will literally say a chapter that's called The Protocols of the Elders of Zion. If it's missing that chapter, you don't have the right book. Now that we've said that, back to the topic at hand. So, the mainstream story, the official story, The Protocols of the Elders of Zion is a fake document forged by the Okhrana. That police force that I told you about. And that I've already shown you has multiple agents inside of it that were socialists. That had multiple agents inside of it that were Jewish. The document literally claims to be a Jewish plan for world domination. It was created to redirect public anger away from the Tsar, who was very belligerent towards his people. Public record, I don't need to go down that. And it redirected that anger and brought it towards the Jewish people. Now, they say that it was debunked almost immediately by the Times of London in 1921. Almost immediately. Here's the kicker. They don't know when it was made, but it sure could not have been produced prior to 1901. So they immediately debunked it in approximately 20 years. Yeah. So again, in this particular case, it doesn't actually matter if this document is true or false. It's part of a bigger picture, right? Now, by then, it had already spread across Europe. Hitler was already starting to cite it. Fun fact. This is where a lot of Hitler's mass delusion came from. The more I learn about my familial ancestry, we'll call it, the more I realize Austrian oil paintings look beautiful. Of course, I never condone violence against people, especially for demographically aligned reasons. I also don't condone running a country while on methamphetamines. But I am personally inclined to believe that this document at least had some semblance of truth to it, because Hitler was not the only world leader citing this document. He was not the only wealthy person citing this document. I mean, Henry Ford, yes, that Henry Ford was talking about this document. Most of you guys already know about that, so I'm not going to go down that. But very powerful people at the time were saying, Yeah, I don't know, dude. I got stiffed by a couple of rich Jewish people back in the late 1800s, and this checks out. That's what a lot of people at the time were saying. I'm talking like Hugo Boss, right? I mean, like big companies. Hugo Boss designed the entire Nazi uniform. A lot of people didn't know that. Uh, this document is, I don't know, dude. We're going to ask my question again. Why are we 0.2% of the population, but, but we're 8 to 9% of global billionaires? I mean, Zuckerberg's a billionaire. He was actually the youngest billionaire ever at one point. He runs all of our data. Sam Altman is Jewish, I'm pretty sure. Actually, I don't know on that one. I don't want to say on that one, but I don't want to do this on a live clip where I'm not Googling it left and right and I have it all said and done. But a large part of the tech industry is Jewish. A large part of the science industry is Jewish. A large part of the Hollywood industry is Jewish. A large part of the rap industry is Jewish, which is a completely African American culture, by the way. But there's these Venn diagrams that intersect, almost kind of like the Star of David. To be poetic in a sense, it's actually kind of cool. I won't even say that to be discriminatory because again, I am them and they are me. I have to always preface this because I don't want some new viewer to come in here and think that I'm just a Nick Fuentes type because I'm not. I am not that type of individual. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that women are the problem and that brown people are the problem. That is so room temperature, to state it lightly. But I will state where I think some things have some merit, right? And I'm literally I'm like rubbing my legs right now because I'm kind of anxious. You know, I don't want this document to be true. And maybe I read it for us sometime on a podcast when I get the Patreon up and running and I put it behind a paywall or something. And I hate to admit that, but if I did, it wouldn't be on YouTube. So if I got hit, it would be on you know what I mean? It would be on freaking Patreon. I wouldn't care because I literally don't use that app anyway. So if I put one thing up there, who cares? But back on topic. This was a forged document created by a government to control what the opposition was angry about, to redirect the energy, and to blame somebody else. Does that sound familiar? We will come back to that. We're going to go to page 3 of chapter 2. How many of you guys have heard about COINTELPRO? COINTELPRO is about J. Edgar Hoover. He's running the FBI. I mean, we know about this a little bit. Joe Rogan. He talks about this all the time because he likes to act like he's woke, which is fine. Bless his heart. But he likes to act like he's woke. I think he got the call ever since he's been talking to Theo Vaughn lately. I think something's up with him. But let's talk about COINTELPRO from a non-Joe Rogan lens. From a non-Joe Rogan lens. It's a syllabic abbreviation derived from the Counterintelligence Program. Okay, easy. Series of covert and illegal projects conducted between 1956 and 1971. It's about 15 years by the United States FBI, aimed at surveilling, infiltrating, discrediting, and disrupting American political parties. The FBI perceived as subversive. Now, most of what this was anti-communism, that's what it was. I didn't mean MLK. Anti-Black Power movements, and to a lesser extent, the anti-Vietnam. Vietnam protesters were more specifically targeted by more MK Ultra type beat because they were very easily manipulable to get to take hard drugs for fun. And I hate to admit that, but that's the truth. And the less we sugarcoat things, the faster we can get to the end result. And the end result is beheading pedophiles that have been proven to harming children. That's my end result. I think most of the people that are here probably support that same narrative. Agree? Cheers. So, COINTELPRO was basically, to keep it short and sweet, because I don't want to be here all day, COINTELPRO was a legal framework that allowed our intelligence agencies to spy on us because, well, maybe we had different opinions than they did, right? And this happened for almost 20 years. Too many people were organizing. So J. Edgar Hoover, who was a closeted homosexual, by the way, no shade, just context, closeted homosexual, was telling you that your opinions were bad, so he was going to spy on you. And this was run before 15 years before anyone finds out. Here, I was supposed to pull this up while I was talking. I do that. But I want to pull up some declassified documents about the FBI memo. That talk. You know what? I could have just copy pasted this. I need to get smarter, not harder. I want to pull up the document that literally shows them basically going, "Uh-oh, we got caught. We got caught." And or excuse me, I phrased that wrong. It wasn't them saying, "Uh-oh, we got caught." It was after they got caught. This is when things started to get declassified about some of the things that they had done. So I just want to pull up some of the photos. There's a whole vault. Oh, goodness. I went down the wrong vault. COINTELPRO. There we go. So here's COINTELPRO. Now, these are entire photo dumps, and I'm talking like terabytes. You guys can go down the deep dive if you want. I will include the link in the description, or probably in the pinned comment, because it's getting to a point where YouTube won't let me post this in a description. It's too long when you start doing hyperlinks. For those who don't make YouTube videos, you can't format the actual link, so you have to type the whole thing or copy and paste the whole thing. But yeah, dude, it's a whole lot right here. I mean, white hate groups, New Left, Puerto Rican groups, black extremist, which is crazy. Notice how they show white and black, but one is white hate groups, which we're talking like the KKK and Nazism. This is 1950s. Reminder that a huge number of Americans supported Hitler. 1956 white hate groups, we're talking about Nazis. But they're not called extremists. Black people that don't want to get sprayed by fire hoses for walking on the streets are the extremists. I don't want to get controversial, but I guess I am. I actually want to open this one up because this one, they got a lot of dumps. We'll just open up one of them because I don't want to be here all day, right? Don't want to be here all day. It probably won't even load very well because I am. Oh yeah, it literally says it is loading, so we'll give that some time. But actually, I really don't know if that's gonna load. My computer's usually pretty fast. Hold on, let me go. Let me do a high level. Yeah, that one document is 131 pages of different photos and admissions and things that they did wrong, and it's not loading on my end. I do apologize, which is weird because it's not that big of a file. It only looks like it's about 7.3 megabytes on my end, but that could be per page. I'm sorry, that could be per page. But either way, it's not loading on my end. But if you have a more powerful computer than my cheap ass, go pull that up. Go do some deep dives, guys, because this is them admitting things. This is vault.fbi.gov. This is what they've admitted. They can kind of do some of the hard work for you because it's been so many years. A lot of this stuff has actually been admitted, right? Now, I took notes because I knew my computer wouldn't work when I record. Again, high level overview. I've got a monitor here. I've got my phone there. I've got a microphone that's actually really nice that my wife spoiled me with. Got it right here. This computer is not supposed to run all this, but it does. MacBook Neo is a really good computer for $500, $600. Really, really good. My last $400 computer had 4 gigabytes of RAM. I mean, the thing coughed on me when I just told it to go on YouTube, right? But this is a cool little computer. The documents still haven't loaded as I'm trying to hype it up. Oh, they just came in. Yeah. Yeah. Let's pull up one of these. Oh, we're back to lagging. Come on. Yes. So there's one document that's saying that they did a legal search of a RAM member's house. And I'll admit I don't know what that is, but this is on the Black Extremist page. So this is, one of their people getting arrested, and while they're in prison, they raided the house, which they're saying is legal. But again, how do we know? Because this is that same racist government that was stabbing black people with needles and saying that they had syphilis when it was them giving them syphilis, right? This is the same government that owned black people for over 150 years. This is the same government, or technically 400 years if you're going pre United States of America. This is the same government that did a lot of things that were not pro-black people. So they're saying that this guy was arrested, and while he was arrested, they had a warrant to do all of these things. But that's what they're saying. What they're also saying, if you read between the lines, is we went into this guy's house, we burglarized this house because we said he did a crime. He existed while black, to be controversial. So that's what COINTELPRO did. It spied on you, and when you slipped out of line for being black, communist, Nazi, which that one, yeah. But if you literally just slipped out of line while existing within a group, they pulled your tab. Now, this is all documented in the Senate Church Committee report. I don't want to pull that up because same thing, it's going to lag right now. But these guys, I'll try to get a quick link for you guys to put on your computer, and you can read it as well. But what they did is they sent anonymous letters designed to cause paranoia and suspicion inside movements. They created fake left-wing newspapers and distributed them to discredit real groups. They sent forged letters pretending to be from one activist group to another, designed to start fights between allies. They also placed informants and outright agents at leadership levels of civil rights organizations. The FBI sent MLK an anonymous letter encouraging him to commit suicide. That's also in the documents, Senate confirmed. And that one's also not exactly new information. We've all heard that. We've all seen that one. But it's basically the letter that just says, we're better off without you. You need to do it before we do it. They all but admit they killed him later in that letter. Now, I'm going to try to see if I can actually just pull it up real quick for the sake of having it, because again, it is tied to COINTELPRO specifically. The reason why we actually have this information is because of the COINTELPRO data. I don't know if it was leaks or data release. Yeah, that's a whole file. I don't think it's gonna find it. I thought it was gonna be quick and easy, but it's another 100-page link. I'm so sorry. If I find the link off recording, of course, I'll just put it in here for you guys. But naturally, I'm working with a whole little stream here. So, what I'm doing now, we're gonna go to the next tab, but while I'm working on that, just a little outro for you. The FBI sent the most prominent civil rights leader in American history an anonymous letter telling him to kill himself. And then COINTELPRO ran for another, what is that? Almost 10 years before anybody even knew it existed. This was only exposed in 1971 when a group called the Citizens Commission to investigate the FBI broke into an FBI office in Media, Pennsylvania, and stole the files. Kind of interesting. The town is called Media, and they stole the files. Not a whistleblower, not a leak, a burglary. That is how America found out. And I want to just kind of hover over that fact. We are better today because somebody committed a crime on our behalf. And, I don't advocate for that. I've actually lost friends because they supported political violence, and I really just don't aspire to that, because for me, it sits on my conscience. It really does. Even if somebody is politically immoral, it sits on my conscience. I can't justify taking a life, But that aside, somebody doing a crime is how we are better. That's just the truth. That's just the truth. Now, this is one of the most wildest documented facts that are in this whole episode. This is literally from the Wikipedia. You don't have to dive deep to even find this, which is probably why it's there. The more important details are the ones that usually people hear about faster, right? But their stated goal, as part of COINTELPRO, the FBI built its own KKK clavern from scratch and run entirely by FBI informants. Their goal was to attract Klan members that were dissatisfied with other groups and then control where their energy went. Whoops, did I click a little fast? Control where their energy went. It built a white supremacist organization to manage white supremacists, and that is in the documents. Now, at what point does managing extremism become manufacturing it? I don't have a clean answer, but I think it's worth considering. I think it's worth sitting on, pondering, asking, whatever phrasing you want to use. Now we're going to get into chapter 3. Okay. I want to bring it current. We're going to move through these nice and quick, so just stay with me if you want to deep dive. The goal is pattern recognition, not the deep dive. At this point, you guys should be building a checklist. So we're going to go on X real quick. Hopefully this works. Oh, gosh. I'm trying to do the copy paste, and when I do, it actually just copies the quotation mark instead, and it's not helping me. Let me go like this. Okay, I think I found something, but it wasn't the initial tweet that I was looking for. So you win some, you lose some. But this is Derwin Lloyd, retired. This guy is an inventor. Very smart gentleman, I guess. He's talking to Alec Jones. I don't know who he is, admittedly, but he's going over the thing that I wanted. I searched for the thing and I got what I was looking for, basically. But the church committees, or the church committee that happened in 1975 and 1976, basically consistently proved that these activities continued under the guise of investigation. So even though on paper it ended 5 years before, these church committees came out and said, hey, this type of stuff actually continues to go on. One of the quotes from the Senate committee actually even said, not from this tweet, of course, I'll take it off the screen, but one of the quotes from the Senate church committee themselves said, quote, COINTELPRO type activities may continue today under the rubric of investigation. Now, that was the United States Senate 5 years after this program ended, stating that it probably still happens under an investigation, or under the guise of investigation. So the question isn't whether this ever happened. It definitely did. We've already proven that. Now the question is, what does it look like now, and how do we spot it? So now I want to go over the checklist. We're going to let this be nice and slow. We're not going to go too crazy, but no screen time here. No fluff. Here's the checklist. Not every box has to be checked, but multiple boxes I want you guys to pay attention. They get big fast without an obvious explanation for why. They say true things, but never the most important things. Or never the most important true things. 80% of the story, and then they stop right before it gets dangerous. They generate controversy that benefits their visibility, but never actually costs them anything. When they get censored or banned, it makes them bigger, not smaller. They identify the enemy precisely, but the solutions they offer never actually threaten the enemy. They are funded in ways that are either opaque or don't add up to their reach. They never touch certain names. Specific targets they always seem to miss. And then the last one, when they get, or I think it is, yeah, when they get close to something real, they pull back, they get distracted, or they discredit themselves. The most dangerous controlled opposition figure isn't the one who lies to you. It's the one who tells you the truth about everything except for the one thing that actually matters. Now, we're going to give you guys a modern case study. We're going to talk about the Alex Jones questions, which is the perfect segue because I just shared a tweet that was actually in reply to him. So that's a perfect segue, in my opinion. This is Alex Jones. Now, I'm not going to say he's controlled opposition because I genuinely don't know. People more serious than I have asked these questions for decades. If he's controlled opposition, I think he's flavor number one. Going back to flavor number one. He started out legit and then he got the call. If that's the case, I'm just here for entertainment purposes only. Now, he's the first major voice to warn about surveillance capitalism, globalist financial structures, and government overreach, all of which is later confirmed true. And I say first major voice very poignantly and specifically. This guy had a bigger reach than Bill Cooper, but they were actually around the same time. Bill Cooper, he made a book, maybe actually I think he made a couple books, He made a couple books and then he went on media press tours, which weren't very big because he didn't have the pull. Alex Jones was the journalist himself, so he was the press. He had the pull, right? Now, what made this guy awesome, and I watch his stuff from time to time. I'm not going to lie to you and say that I don't. But he packaged all of this stuff inside the lizard people with the interdimensional demons and screaming, right? Making it very easy for mainstream media to dismiss the entire category of questions that he was raising. He was banned from every platform simultaneously in 2018, which then tripled his audience and made him a free speech martyr. Okay. Oh, wrong one. Of course, I'm not verified. I don't want to be verified. That app's for the leeches. He was hit with a $1.5 billion Sandy Hook judgment, largely unpaid, and that kept him in the news cycle for 2 years. 2 years. I wonder if anybody on here thinks that he's controlled. Curious. I don't know. I'm just curious. There you go. This guy's not. He's small. He's got 630. I mean, he's got a few followers. He's got more followers than I do. He got 6,000 followers. He said, "You were selling the Fed slop swill after they murdered Charlie Kirk. Welcome back to where you always should have been, Alex." Basically saying he's a flip-floppy craphead. I don't know if I agree with that, but I like knowing that the fans are talking. Now, if designing a figure to absorb the energy of people who distrust the government and then make sure that that energy goes nowhere, what would that figure look like? I'm not saying that's what Jones is. I'm just asking. Think about what that pattern. Think about what that pattern looks like. Think about what that answer looks like. The next thing we're going to go over is the gatekeeping pattern. This one's short and sweet. It's just talking about how there's actually a softer version that doesn't require anybody to be a paid agent. It's just called gatekeeping. A lot of you guys know what that is, but we'll give a high-level overview of it. It's just a gatekeeper is just somebody who is genuinely independent but draws a line at certain topics. Goes 90% of the way and then stops. Covers the story but not the source. Names the crimes but not the criminal. The function is the same. The mechanism is just different. The gatekeeper might not even know that they're doing it. Might just have decided that there's a line that they won't cross because crossing it would cost them something. funding, relationships, access, platform, their place at the table. The question to ask anyone about covering power, the question asked about anyone covering power, what is the thing that they never talk about? What subject is always adjacent to their coverage but never the center of it? That gap is where to start looking. Now we're going to get into chapter 4, how it's weaponized against you. This is the most personal segment, in my opinion. This is about your critical thinking. It's not about history. This is about you, okay? This is about you as viewers. This is about you as Americans, about you as humans. This is the part that matters for everybody watching. Controlled opposition is not just a government tactic. It's been weaponized as a label, and the label itself has now become a weapon. Accuse somebody of being controlled opposition, and it dismisses everything they say without engaging with any of it. You don't have to argue the facts. You just say they're controlled. They're controlled. Audience abandons them. Those accusations have been deployed against people like Tucker Carlson, Joe Rogan, Jimmy Dore, Glenn Greenwald, Tulsi Gabbard, Candace Owens, Russell Brand, Bernie Sanders, Ron Paul even. And also about 1,000 YouTube channels that got too close to something real. It's everywhere. I mean, I literally just typed in real quick. I typed in Alex Jones's name and then controlled opposition. We had hits from just 3 days ago, crying out loud. 3 days ago. So you see how that works. Some of these accusations are probably right. Some are probably wrong. Some are also just deliberate. Planted by actual controlled opposition figures to discredit the independent voices. Now you guys get that. The concept itself becomes a fog machine. Everyone's accusing everyone. Nobody can be trusted, and in that fog, the actual power structures operate without scrutiny. The goal of weaponizing this system is to make you trust nothing, because a person who trusts nothing investigates nothing. They sit in paralysis, basically saying they're all controlled. And that paralysis, that's exactly what the system needs and thrives on. So how to actually use this concept without becoming a conspiracy zombie who sees every dissenting voice as a plant? Go back to the checklist. Apply it consistently. Ask, what do they never talk about? Who funds them? When they get big, why? And what controversy benefits them? Most importantly, what are the results of their opposition? Is the thing they're fighting getting better or worse? Results. Not rhetoric, results. Now, if a voice has been opposing something for 10 years and the thing they're opposing has only gotten bigger, at what point do you ask if the opposition is serving the thing that it opposes? Now, I think we've had a really good chat so far today. We're coming up on an hour. Controlled opposition is not a theory. It's a fact. Again, I really want you guys to read the Protocols of the Elders of Zion, if you can, because I brought that in here for fun. No matter if it's true or false, I am vindicated. Because again, if it's false, awesome. It's a fabricated document made by the secret Russian police. And there is paper crumbs to show evidence for that. But if it's true, and I hate to admit this, there's a lot more breadcrumbs for this. If it's true, and there is a true globalist conspiracy to run the world, and it's by people who got a lot of pita bread and hummus, that ain't good. It's going to be concerning for all of us. Now, going back to the topic, the Okhrana ran it on revolutionaries with controlled opposition. The FBI ran it on civil rights leaders. The Senate confirmed that it happened. The same Senate said that it might still be happening, albeit 50 years ago. The checklist exists. The pattern exists. I want you to apply it consistently without paranoia, just with receipts. Just document and move on. That's the episode. Let's turn the pages. One more thing. Candace Owens. She was fired by the Daily Wire. And she likes to portray it as Ben Shapiro stalking me. which is fun. It's cutesy, whatever. My wife's had an actual stalker, and I'll tell you one thing: you don't make jokes about it. It's fucking scary, and I'm not gonna bleep that. I'm not gonna sugarcoat that. It's not something that you make jokes about, but she does religiously, like almost once a week at this point. She's asking questions about Charlie Kirk's assassination that nobody else will ask. She has leaked the text. She basically started a docuseries about his death, which I think we would all do if our best friend died. That's not the focal point. She's been called anti-Semitic. She's been called evil. She's been called unhinged by the same exact conservative establishment that she used to be a part of. By every surface reading, she looks like the most authentic, independent voice in conservative media right now. But she rose to prominence inside TPUSA. She was communications director for Charlie Kirk. She was given her first major platform by the conservative establishment that she now opposes. She got big fast. Controversy always seems to benefit her visibility. Right? She literally gets sued, and the episodes after that explode in viewership. And I'm not saying in a large fashion, because people have done this. A lot of people have tried to discredit her, and they pull up her views, and it's literally 5 million and 5.1 million, right? But that metadata is important because her views are incredibly consistent. I, for example, have only missed 5 of her live streams, maybe 10 of her live streams in the last 2 years. Right? Anytime she's gotten too close to the sun, she actually gets bigger. She's never been canceled. Right? When she left Ben Shapiro, she's made more money independent than she ever did under Ben Shapiro. She always names those certain enemies precisely, and then she never seems to touch others. She acts like she absolutely loathes the establishment and the rich elites, but she literally marries into it. Right? I'm not saying she's controlled opposition. I just literally got done telling you I've watched literally all but maybe 10, maybe 5 of her episodes since she left Ben Shapiro. I'm not saying she's controlled opposition. I'm just asking you to apply the checklist because it's a good checklist. And once you start looking through things with that prism, I'll see you next time.